Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. The Great Sortation continues to move, and life and death issues at life's beginning and ending are driving it. This could lead to a serious, even violent crisis in America once leftist office holders and movement leaders realize the full implications of the policies they promote. Do they even now realize that they are killing off their future voters, while conservative voters remain? If they don't, what will happen when they do? Before I discuss that in detail, and talk about the current state of the life and death debate, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which depicts a child in the womb with this caption: "Not your body, not your choice." As you will soon see, this debate here is only part of it. The other part is the ending of life and certain transformations. One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. Now, leaders on the political right, at least some of them, took courage from a certain Supreme Court opinion last year. You know what that is. Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, 597 U.S. blank 2022. That case sent the question of the beginning of life back to the states to handle, without federal interference. At once, attorneys general and legislatures in red states moved to protect life before birth. Some protected at its very beginning, others set limits at 6, 15, or 24 weeks. The state of Maine has a bill in committee to remove all restrictions on the time to end a pregnancy. Just 4 days ago, the Judiciary Committee held the longest public hearing in history. 19 hours to hear mostly negative commentary. More than 90% of members of the public commenting on the bill spoke against it. Texas and 13 other states now have laws saying you may not end a pregnancy, either from the start or very close to it. But, well, we now see pregnant women simply traveling to other states and swamping providers with higher workloads. But one spectacle provides the perfect metaphor for a likely long-term outcome. The whole Women's Health Center in McAllen, Texas, where women went to, well, you know, closed recently. So now the McAllen Pregnancy Center, 3 doors down, will expand into that facility. Thus, an institution that some say was dedicated to stopping life before it began will serve to keep it going instead. On the other hand, the Republican governor of Vermont signed a new law abolishing the residency requirement for getting a doctor to help you end your life, if that's what you want. So now Vermont will become a new kind of tourist trap. People will check in but not out. All voluntary, of course. The only people that could please, aside from globalists and elitists who want the planet for themselves, are environmentalists who think humans are a blight on the earth anyway. 10 other states allow doctors to help people end it all under some condition or another. At the other end, the Attorney General of California has set up a new hotline for women seeking to end a pregnancy. That state already pays, with taxpayers' money, for that kind of service for women who don't qualify for Medicaid and can't get insurance. It also pays $15 million a year to advocacy groups for that sort of thing. Now, some people call that campaigning on the taxpayer's dime. This next story I find more difficult to believe. According to it, medical students seeking postgraduate training in obstetrics and gynecology seem to prefer states that, shall we say, are more lenient in this area. ABC News reports a 5% decline in applications for residency training in the 14 states with complete bans. ABC says they interviewed medical students who expressed a desire to learn the technique. Reliable information on what student attitudes actually might be, it's difficult to find. Those who write studies on medical student attitudes about that kind of procedure tend to favor it and encourage students to embrace it. This creates a conflict of interest that few people even notice. Now, let me give you a former doctor's perspective on the matter. A 5% decline in applications is not likely to diminish the quality of care in teaching hospitals or the quality of new first-year residents, once called interns, to any significant degree. Medical school remains competitive, and so does residency training in obstetrics and gynecology. Furthermore, different medical students often balk at different techniques. I remember a fellow medical student who confessed to feeling horror at presiding over what's called electroconvulsive therapy. Don't ask, just imagine. I'll tell you this, if you were to put her in as the teacher in a Stanley Milgram type obedience setup, she would balk right away. I won't describe that today, but I will leave a link in the description to where I did describe it. Yet that same student enthusiastically embraced the idea of ending a pregnancy for any reason or no reason. You know, she actually told me once that she and her crew were going to replace conservative office holders. Well, it didn't work out that way. I'll talk about that later. But 5% is not 100%. For every 5 medical students who will go study OB-GYN in, say, the New York University setting, 95 more will go ahead and apply to and get into places like Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Nashville, Tennessee, the Texas Medical Center, Houston, Texas, Parkland Memorial Hospital, Dallas, Texas, and other teaching hospitals in complete banned states. Now, Vanderbilt Hospital is a special case. They've had their share of controversies, and that was long after I left. I will not describe them here. Let it suffice that they're going to need to come to grips with some ancient precepts moving forward. I'll have more to say about that later. Still, the attitudes of certain medical students who actually want to learn how to, end things, well, that does concern me. Because when I received postgraduate training at that very medical center, it still displayed the original Oath of Hippocrates. That oath read in relevant part, and I quote, "I will give no deadly preparation to anyone even if asked, nor suggest such a course, neither will I give to any woman a pessary to," "but I will keep pure and holy my life and my art," unquote Hippocrates of Kos. I think the time has come to offer some of the ancient ethical training that too many teaching doctors have forgotten. Now I'm going to get right into that as a matter of fact, but first, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, the employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com. Learn how you can build a legacy for your future. And now, I'm going to review the Oath of St. Luke. which I adapted from the original Oath of Hippocracy. So here it is. I swear by the memory of Luke the physician, and take the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as my witnesses, that according to my ability and judgment, I will keep this oath and this contract to honor God as the author of life and the true patron of the physician's art, and to practice this art for the benefit of my patients, in keeping with the commandments of God to respect all human life. I will prescribe dietary, medicinal, and other regimens which will benefit my patients according to my greatest ability and judgment, and in so doing, I will do no harm or injustice to any. I will not give a lethal drug to anyone if I am asked, nor will I advise such a plan. Furthermore, I will not give a woman food or supplement, or perform on her any procedure to, end a pregnancy. In purity and according to God's commandments will I carry out my life and my art. I will perform no procedure that I am not qualified to perform, but will leave this to those so trained. Into whatever homes I go, I will enter them for the benefit of the sick. I will avoid any voluntary act of impropriety or corruption, including any inappropriateness with women or men, free or inmate. Whatever I see or hear in the lives of my patients, whether in connection with my professional practice or not, which ought not to be spoken of outside, I will keep secret, as considering all such things to be private. So long as I maintain this oath faithfully and without corruption, may it be granted to me to partake of life fully and the practice of my art, gaining the respect of all for all time. However, should I transgress this oath and violate it, may the opposite be my lot. So, what is this to do with the Great Sortation? Plenty. As Stephen Turley, Ph.D., has repeatedly observed, those now rediscovering faith, tradition, and moral precept are having all the children. That last is only a slight exaggeration. Leftist leaders are openly promoting the ending of life, and often for what Thomas Jefferson might call light and transient causes. And at the same time, they are promoting and paying for the destruction of developing life and the prevention of the starting of life. Margaret Sanger sought to do this through forced sterilization, while today's Margaret Sangers are being far more elaborate, surgically altering men and women to appear as the opposite sex, and hormonally preparing them for such surgery. When they do that, they prevent fertilization and conception. Now, don't let certain legislative leaders fool you. When they say men can get pregnant, they're actually lying. Now, this lie is a lure to draw people into a dead-end lifestyle. I doubt that anyone will seriously develop methods to permit trans women to get pregnant or trans men to impregnate any woman, trans or cis. Yes, that might have its appeal to someone's fantasy of what modern science can do. I get it. But certain people who control most of the wealth of this planet consider that a waste of time because it would defeat the real purpose, depopulation. And as that depopulation proceeds in blue states, red states will thrive. In a generation or two, the women playing tourist for ending a pregnancy, if they don't simply move to the blue states, will die out anyway. They don't even want children. Those that do want children will have them. Does the left realize that already? They never gave it a thought after the case of Roe v. Wade, 410 U.S. 113, 1973. And after that case came down, convinced that generations of women would always revel in their newfound freedom, they campaigned to let a woman do it on demand for any reason or no reason. But they forgot about the women who would have nothing to do with that kind of thing. So the women who took their advice refused to bear children. Now, you remember I told you about my fellow medical student who said that she and her fellow women were going to replace the conservatives electorally? Well, it didn't work out that way. Within a generation, they started to lose their first elections. And then, famously, Donald J. Trump became president, and he made hundreds of key judicial appointments, 3 of them to the Supreme Court. The result, we know, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's. That case hasn't completely stopped all women from ending their pregnancies before term, but it will definitely limit the practice to sympathetic states, and succeeding generations of voters will be more conservative than their predecessors. The left might not care for that outcome. Already some of them begin to grasp the implications, though they won't say them out loud. These are the vandals who attack crisis pregnancy centers and hurl slurs like breeder at conservative women. The elite have already made their attack with the virus that shall remain nameless, a product of Anthony S. Fauci's gain-of-function research, and then the Fauci ouchies, plural. We've seen what happened with them, especially in the state of Israel. Their leaders burned incense on the high place of medical technology, with the result of an awful lot of women seeing their pregnancies end when they didn't want that to happen. But that attack failed. Other attacks will come, and we must thwart them. If we do, they too will fail, then we win. Links to the description of the article, to my description of the Stanley Milgram obedience experiment, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to a couple of playlists and to one other relevant video. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.